Welcome to the Howie Silbiger Show on the True Talk Radio Network. Get in on the conversation. Call 1-877-669-1292.
There is a terrible, terrible, terrible thing happening that we got to talk about. It's horrific. And I don't know how we're going to survive this travesty. I don't know how we're going to survive as a people, as a nation, as mankind, how we're going to survive this travesty that's happening right now. It is so huge and so unbelievable that we might as well just pack it up, give up, and call it a day. I am talking about, and if you're wondering what I'm talking about, I am talking about the extreme travesty of Bradley Cooper, an actor, a non-Jewish actor, playing Leonard Bernstein in a movie and having to put on a prosthetic nose because Leonard Bernstein historically had a large nose. Oh, the horrors of the fact that a non-Jewish actor could dare try to look like the character he's playing, try to look like the historic figure that he's trying to portray. Horrific. Where have we gone? Where has the world gone, really? Really, think about it for a second. This has been in the news. This story about Bradley Cooper putting on a fake nose to play Leonard Bernstein in a movie biopic about Leonard Bernstein. An effort of an actor trying to look like the character he's playing has been in the news for 3 months now. It's been covered for 3 months. People have been complaining about this for 3 months, calling Bradley Cooper and the director of the movie anti-Jewish, screaming that Bradley Cooper wearing a fake nose to try to look like Leonard Bernstein is anti-Jewish. It is absolutely, unbelievably stupid. But this is what's happening because we can't have actors trying to portray characters anymore. We can't have actors trying to look like the character that they were portraying. We can't have non-Jewish actors playing Jews and Jewish actors playing non-Jews and everybody pretending to be somebody else in a make-believe land. That's suddenly become unforgivable. It's an unforgivable sin. A month of coverage with organizations, outrage organizations paid to be outraged. Organizations like B'nai B'rith and ADL, all weighing in on this terrible travesty of Bradley Cooper wearing a fake nose to play Leonard Bernstein in a biopic movie. Like there's nothing else happening in the world. Like there's no other news in the world aside from Bradley Cooper playing Leonard Bernstein. I guess it's getting great publicity for the movie. But wow. So I saw an article earlier today, as I was perusing articles, trying to figure out what we're going to talk about. I found an article earlier today that told me 14 ways Bradley Cooper could have played Jewish without the prosthetic nose. And I read the headline. I didn't even read the article. I didn't even look at the article. I'll be honest. I didn't read the article. I read the headline and I said, wait a second. Now we've conflated the issue. Now we've made the issue a little bigger than it was originally. So originally the issue was that Bradley Cooper was casted to play Leonard Bernstein, who was a Jewish composer, a very important Jewish composer in American history. And they were upset. The people who get upset were upset because Bradley Cooper wasn't Jewish and Leonard Bernstein was, and a non-Jewish guy shouldn't play a Jew. This was the first thing. Cultural appropriation, or whatever they want to call it. A non-Jewish shouldn't play a Jew. And this was the big outrage for about 3 weeks. Then a trailer or some pictures from the set came out, and Bradley Cooper had on a fake nose because Leonard Bernstein had a bigger nose than Bradley Cooper has. And Bradley Cooper wanted to look like Leonard Bernstein, so he put on a big nose. And suddenly, it became Bradley Cooper wearing a big nose to portray Leonard Bernstein. Is that anti-Jewish or not? This was the question that was asked about 2 weeks ago. And then it moved on to now 14 ways Bradley Cooper could have played Jewish without the prosthetic nose. So now the intonation, now the connotation of this story suddenly moved from Bradley Cooper playing a specific character who had a big nose, who happened to have been Jewish, to Bradley Cooper portraying Jews with a big nose, which is an anti-Jewish trope. So suddenly Bradley Cooper went on from being an actor trying to portray a legitimate guy who was alive. I mean, you can look at a picture of Leonard Bernstein, you can see he has a nose. It's a big schnoz. To Bradley Cooper maligning an entire nation of people and being anti-Jewish, which is not the case at all. This has become such a crazy story that Leonard Bernstein's grandchildren came out and said, hey, it's okay. Our grandfather had a big nose. It's true. We saw it. It was big. We got to chill out. We got to stop funding or at least cut back on the funding or cut back on the whatever we're doing to push these organizations to start making big deals out of these things. Nobody should care when an actor puts on a huge nose to play a Jewish guy who had a huge nose. Look, if somebody wanted to play me, they'd have to have a chubby face, right? Okay, so is that fat shaming? No, I'm not fat, but it's not fat shaming. It's just that my face is a little chubbier than, let's say, a guy who has a skinny face. Biology is like that. Different people are built in different ways. Should I be insulted? Should anybody be insulted that they got a guy with broad shoulders to play a guy with broad shoulders? They got a tall guy to play a tall guy? It's not maligning short people. It's just trying to be true to the character. It is so people are so ridiculous today. And people are so sensitive over nothing today. That's impossible for entertainment. It's impossible to live your life like a normal person. So the Academy Awards, which are supposed to herald the best in movie excellence and award directors and actors for best in movie excellence, they came up with a new rule that starts this year. It's a diversity rule where and this is how ridiculous it is, because it used to be based on achievement. It used to be based on how well did you perform in the movie that you were in. How well was the movie written? How well was the makeup done? How well was the music composed? And those were the only criteria, and those should be the only criteria in an award ceremony. Racial diversity shouldn't be part of it. But now it is. And the Academy Awards have insisted that nominees have to have different colors and have to have different genders and have to have... they put all sorts of rules in there to ensure that everybody has equal treatment. So it doesn't matter if you make a crappy movie, but you're black. If they didn't hit the quota of black nominees and you made a crappy movie and you're black, you're going to get nominated. So it's not based on your production. It's now based on your skin color and your gender and your sexual orientation and whatever. So the Academy Awards were asked yesterday, what about Jews? How do Jews fit into the diversity rules that you put out? Do Jews get preferential treatment like other minorities? And the Academy Awards refused to answer. So one has to wonder. And one could make the argument that Jews have been in Hollywood forever. Jews founded Hollywood. All the major studios in Hollywood were founded by Jews. They're still named after Jews. Do Jews really need preferential treatment in Hollywood? I don't know. If everyone else is getting preferential treatment, why shouldn't Jews? But the anti-Semitic trope is that Jews run Hollywood, that it's Jewish Hollywood. And so the Academy Awards, trying to get out of this controversial answer they'd have to give, absolutely refused to answer the question. So we don't know if Jews are going to get as preferential treatment as somebody else. This is not clear. As it should be very clear. If you're going to give preferential treatment, if you're going to be racist, and you are going to give preferential treatment for somebody because of their skin color, then it should be clear who gets that preferential treatment. So if I'm giving an award to somebody, not because they made a good movie and not because it was the best movie that was made of the year, but because they're black or because they're Chinese or because they're transgender or because whatever, it's the definition of racism, isn't it? Preferential treatment for one color person over somebody else. Isn't that what Martin Luther King fought against? Isn't that what his I Had a Dream speech was all about? That all men were created equal under God? I'm confused by this whole lefty phenomenon. But I'm confused and I'm not confused all at the same time. This whole mess is being pushed by the Democratic Party, which of course is the historical party of racism. So it doesn't surprise me that normalizing racism is part of their mission and is working with the brainwashed majority who listen to the media, who read the memes, and who decide that it's okay to give preferential treatment to a minority group because of their skin color, because of their sexual orientation, or because of whatever, and deny that same treatment to another group based on their skin color or sexual orientation, whatever. It's the actual definition of racism. But alas, you tell that to somebody who supports these kind of movements, and they'll tell you that you're crazy. But just look at affirmative action, which was recently struck down by the U.S. Supreme Court. Just take a look at the affirmative action law, which gave quotas on hiring blacks into businesses. So if the same person had the same credentials, applied for the job, one was white, one was black, businesses were obligated to hire the black person solely because of their skin color. Sure, they might have been qualified, but they had to hire them because of their skin color. Or they had to admit them into a university because of their skin color. The interesting thing about this diversity and this whole, we want to be diverse, is that many of the minority groups do not want to be diverse. They don't want to be integrated. They don't want to be part of it. They want to hold on to their identity. So you're starting to see right now segregation reoccurring. But it's reoccurring because the minority groups are pulling away from the crowd, not because they're being forced away. So Harvard University, in the last few years, has instituted on campus all black dormitories and a separate graduation for black students over white students. Now, the last time they did that was in the 1940s and 50s, before the civil rights movement and before the civil rights legislation was passed. And now they're doing it on the behest of the black community. So all the progress that was made for integration, all the progress that was made for all the fighting that was made for integration, all the people who died fighting to integrate society, to make all people equal, to make everybody even, was erased. And it was erased not because of racism, because let's be honest. And I try to be as honest as I can on the show, and so let's just try to be honest. America and Canada are not really racist countries. Sure, there are racists in the country. We can't hide the fact that every society has racists. But I would venture to say that the majority of the country is not racist. That over 90% of the country is not racist. I will venture to say that. Now you'll have your skirmishes here and there, and you'll have your little incidents that are blown up by the media. But the majority of the time, everybody lives peacefully with each other. Now, that being the case, these discrimination laws, forcing people to hire blacks or hire minorities, is fanning the flames of racism. We're legislating people not to be racist, which is causing racism. Losing out on a job because you're white is racist. Now, a little while ago, I had this argument with a lefty friend of mine, and look, I have lefty friends, I have righty friends, I have friends of all political persuasions because I don't discriminate. I like people who think for themselves, and who stand up for themselves, and who are able to argue, and who we could agree to disagree with. I like those kind of people, and I hang out with those kind of people, and we talk. I talk a lot to those kind of people. And so I was having a conversation with one of those guys who we agreed to disagree most of the time. We don't agree politically at all, but we're friends. And I know that's a rare thing today to be friends with someone you don't politically agree with, but this is the way I've been all my entire life. And I said to him, and we had this argument about racial discrimination, about affirmative action, in particular was the affirmative action thing that we were talking about. And I made the argument that affirmative action is racist in itself. Because the second you're judging somebody or giving somebody preferential treatment based on the skin color, that's the definition of racism. Racism is the giving of special treatment. The definition of racism is the giving of special treatment based on skin color, or the denial of treatment, of the same treatment based on skin color. So if I'm giving you extra bonus points because you are a certain color, or I'm taking away bonus points because you are a color, they're equally racist. I shouldn't judge you and you shouldn't judge me based on biological things that we can't control. I can't control the color of my pigmentation. I was born with it. The same way you were born with the color of your pigmentation. And everybody in the world was born with the pigmentation that they were born with. This is not something we chose. This is not something we could control. It's not something we could change. And because it's not something we control or change, or something that we have anything to do with, we shouldn't be discriminated against, or we shouldn't be rewarded for it. And this is the way I see it, and it's the way I've always seen it. But that's not the way the world works, unfortunately. And you could say, and so I made this argument with this friend of mine, and his argument was, you can't be racist against white people. They were racist for centuries. And because they were racist for centuries, you can't be racist against them. There's no such thing as racism against white people. Which in itself is a racist statement. So here we go. So you can't win. And that's really what it comes down to, is at the end of the day, you can't really win. When you look at the society and you decide that certain people in society have to be elevated and other people in society have to be suppressed, then you're practicing the practice of racism. It's as simple as that. It's discrimination. So I want to live in a world. I personally want to live in a world where we're based on our merit. If I'm a nice person, then I want to be recognized as a nice person. If I'm a qualified person for a job, I want to get the job on my qualifications. I do not want to get the job based on my skin color. I do not want to get the job based on my religion. I do not want to get the job based on my religious affiliation. I don't want to get the job based on anything besides the hard work, the blood, sweat, and tears I put into trying to get the job and working and being experienced in the position that I'm applying for. This is the only way I want to get a job. If I get a job in any other way, I don't want the job. Because if you're going to hire me based on the fact that I'm a Jew, or based on the fact that I'm an Orthodox Jew, or based on the fact that I have a beard sometimes and I don't have a beard other times, or based on the fact that my eyes are brown, or based on the fact that I have big ears, if you want to hire me based on any of those criteria, I don't want the job. I want the job based on the fact that I could do the job properly, that I'm trained to do the job, that I have the ability to do the job, and that I have the experience necessary to fill the position. This is the only criteria I want to be judged on. And I'm pretty sure that 99% of the people out there applying for jobs, 99% of the people out there working, want to be judged on the same criteria. And judging people based on their skin color and hiring people based on their skin color, based on their last name, based on their first name, based on the color of their hair, based on their age, is completely and 100% wrong. Absolutely 100% wrong. And should not be tolerated, and should definitely not be legislated, although we know it is. It's scary. It's actually scary. But alas, that's the world we live in. And until normal people stand up and start screaming, until people who care about diversity and want a diverse society, but not a legislative diverse society, we don't need to legislate it, we just want it to happen. Until people start screaming and yelling and rejecting this kind of craziness, we're never going to get there. We're never going to live in a society like that. I'm sick and tired of reading articles like 14 Ways Bradley Cooper could have played Jewish without the prosthetic nose. I'm sick of reading articles like that. Fake victimization articles, I'm sick of them. There's plenty of stuff that Jews are victimized for, and Bradley Cooper wearing a fake nose to play Leonard Bernstein isn't one of them. There's plenty of ways that Jews are being attacked. I mean, we could talk about a Jewish man and his son being attacked in Berlin. What they're doing in Berlin is beyond me. But why any Jew would want to go to Berlin or anywhere in Europe that destroyed the Jewish communities there, why anyone would want to live there is beyond me. Because these feelings don't disappear. They really don't. And Jews should learn from history that once anti-Jewish sentiment is ingrained in a society, it's hard, almost impossible to get rid of it. So why Jews are living in Berlin or any of the Nazi-occupied lands that destroyed the Jewish people is way beyond me. But we could talk about a Jewish guy getting attacked in Berlin. We could talk about arson in Brooklyn. We could talk about Jewish community trying to. We could talk about a segment of the Israeli population trying to overthrow the government, and how the Israeli government is reacting to this attempted coup that happened just a couple of days ago, compared to how the American government reacted to an alleged coup that happened a couple of years ago. And we could see the difference in maturity of a nation. But this is what we should be talking about. And we really shouldn't be talking about or caring about what kind of nose Bradley Cooper plays while he's wears while he's pretending to be a Jewish character in a movie. Ridiculous, ridiculous, ridiculous. All right, that's it for tonight. I'm Howie Silbiger. I'll be back again very soon, right here on the Howie Silbiger Show on the True Talk Radio Network. So nice to be here. So nice to see you. I'll see you again next time, right here on TrueTalkRadio.com. Don't forget to download the app, the True Talk Radio Network app, available at your favorite app store. And of course, you can always email me, Howie at TrueTalkRadio.com. See you next time.